Hi everyone. Thank you for coming to this session. I know it's probably been a long few days for you all, but really grateful for you coming. My name is Alice Cambridge. I'm a sales specialist at SUSE, and I specialize in SUSE Liberty Linux, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today. So we'll cover the what, the why, Liberty versus the alternatives. You might have heard of different alternatives on the market. We'll cover services and support which surround Liberty, particularly how we can help you with the transition. And then I'll also speak a little bit about the roadmap. So, as you'll have seen in the keynotes from DP, keynote from Thomas, lots of people have mentioned Liberty and the work that we're doing here. So why is this important now, and why are we suddenly talking about it a lot now? And really, this is down to the date of June the 30th, 2024, when CentOS 7 and RHEL 7 are going end of life, but particularly CentOS 7, because these users have been using it for free so far. It's obviously was a free community downstream version of RHEL, and on the 30th of June, they will no longer get any patches and updates for these systems. So obviously, that's a security risk, and maybe some of you here are in that situation if you're in the room. So the clock is ticking, essentially. There's a couple of weeks left, and as you'll see, DP also announced some new promotional packages that we've got, kind of in light of the fact that this date is coming up very, very soon. So what are the options if you are a CentOS or RHEL user? So firstly, if you're a CentOS 7 user, a logical option would be to migrate to something else. So migrate to Red Hat Enterprise Linux, for example, or migrate to one of the alternatives that you might have heard of in the market, like Rocky or Alma Linux. If you're a RHEL 7 user, really the only option, potentially, you could say, is to upgrade. So upgrade to 8 or 9. But both of these options, whether you're a CentOS 7 or a RHEL 7 user, are going to be costly. You're going to need a lot of time, resources, and effort. So, if it comes up, what if there was a better choice? And we at SUSE think that SUSE Liberty Linux is a better choice, and I'd like to tell you a little bit more about that. So you should probably know what it is by now from the different keynotes and sessions that it's been mentioned in, but essentially it's a support solution, a support offering for CentOS and RHEL that gives you uninterrupted support, so no migration is required, and it's also fully binary compatible with RHEL and CentOS. So just to dig into that a little bit more, I think DP made this kind of analogy as well, that it's the good way to think of it is like your mobile phone number. So maybe you want to keep your mobile phone number because you have all your contacts on there, everyone knows that number, but you want to switch your subscription to another provider to get a cheaper deal or whatever, and that provider is us, SUSE. So essentially, we take on your CentOS or RHEL. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to migrate. You simply port over or sort of switch in place to the Liberty, SUSE support channels. We will provide LTSS, as we call it at SUSE, long-term service support, so proactive updates for CentOS 7 and RHEL 7, basically as patches, which you can then apply at your own choosing. It's fully compatible, as I said, so fully binary compatible at the ABI level. So because of this, you should experience zero disruption. So all of your applications should continue to run as normal. And it doesn't just stop at CentOS 7 or RHEL 7. We can actually also support RHEL 8 and 9 with Liberty Linux. And we have world-class enterprise support, which hopefully some of you as customers, partners, will have already experienced. And I will also talk a bit more about support later, as I said. And then finally, just the last point on this slide, we can also optionally manage SUSE Liberty Linux with SUSE Manager. So SUSE Manager is the tool to manage any Linux up to 27 distributions. SUSE Liberty Linux is one of those that can be managed. But also other things like Ubuntu, Debian, Rocky, Alma. So yeah, lots of choice and options. So I want to dig now into the alternatives, because as I said, I'm sure a lot of you were around the time when the announcement of CentOS Linux end of life was made. I'm sure a lot of you heard about things like Rocky, Alma, and we get lots of questions from customers asking, what is Liberty? How is it different from Alma? How is it different from Rocky? So I'll cover that now. So I think the first major point is that with Liberty, no migration is required. So as I've said, it's a switch in place, or more like a port over, like you remove yourself from your current support channels and you hook up to the SUSE Liberty channels. Whereas with Rocky and Alma, some significant migration effort is still involved. Now they have some tools to help you do this. So with Rocky, you can use the Migrate to Rocky tool, which helps you migrate within a major version, so from EL8 to Rocky 8, for example. But then you still have the issue of how can you get from 7 to 8 to start with. With Alma, they have a tool actually which does solve that problem called Elevate, so you can migrate between major versions, so from EL 7.x to Alma 8.x, or not even Alma, it can be something else. But yeah, main point really is that with Liberty, no migration is required. With Liberty, we also have a multi-distro approach, as I said. So firstly, we support CentOS and RHEL. And then secondly, with SUSE Manager kind of bolstered onto it, you can then actually manage 27 different Linux distributions. So we have a very multi-distro open approach. Whereas with Rocky, obviously there's just a single focus on Rocky, since it was kind of initiated after the CentOS announcement. Alma, similar single distro approach, but as I said, Elevate can be used for lots of different RHEL derivatives. Lifecycle is another interesting point. So we follow the RHEL lifecycle exactly, and this is often extended up to 13 years with our LTSS package. Whereas with Rocky and Alma, it's a 10-year lifecycle, no extended lifecycle support, as far as I know. And then finally, when it comes to package management, there's also some subtle differences. So SUSE Liberty and Rocky both follow the Red Hat package management way of things. So they use RPM, Red Hat Package Manager, whereas Alma uses DNF Dandified Yum. So something slightly different to get used to, I guess. Then moving on to Debian and Ubuntu, which I would say contrast even more with SUSE Liberty Linux. Package management here, I would say, is the key differentiator. So with SUSE Liberty, you would use the RPM Red Hat Package Manager, but with Debian and Ubuntu, it's apt, and they're deb. The packages are in the format of deb, so it's vastly different there. Again, the point around migration, with Liberty, no migration required. Think of it more as a porting over or switching your provider, whereas with Debian and Ubuntu, a full migration would be required. You would need, some support from a third party or a professional services company or something like this. As far as I know, nothing out of the box to sort of help you do that transition from CentOS to Debian and Ubuntu or RHEL to Debian and Ubuntu. Liberty is also fully backed by SUSE. Ubuntu is also fully backed by Canonical, which is the company behind Ubuntu, whereas Debian is entirely community supported, so it's not backed by any vendor. There are some options to get enterprise support for it, but from a kind of third-party company called Frisian, I think. And finally, around the RHEL lifecycle again. So Liberty completely follows the RHEL lifecycle, whereas Debian, since it's a community release, there's only a 3-year lifecycle with some extended support options from the third party, which I was talking about. Ubuntu, 5-year lifecycle with also extended security options. So, to summarize all of that information, I said there was a lot of information on those slides. No migration required for Liberty. I think that's really, really a key point. And because of this, everything should continue to run as normal because of the binary compatibility. All your applications should continue to run with no issues. With Liberty, we provide proactive updates for EL7, 8, and 9, so that's CentOS 7, RHEL 7, RHEL 8, RHEL 9. Obviously, there isn't a CentOS 8 or a CentOS 9 because of the end of life. You will stay completely in sync with the RHEL lifecycle. And for RHEL 7 and CentOS 7 specifically, we have said that we will provide support until June 2028. So that's an additional 4 years of support. You're essentially buying time to work out what you want to do, making sure you stay secure and compliant. We have a multi-distro approach with, Liberty in itself is multi-distro, CentOS and RHEL. SUSE Manager, you can manage lots of Linux. It's fully compatible, and you get direct access to our world-class support team, either standard support, so business hours or priority 24/7. We also have some premium support packages. I will talk a little bit more about that now. So as I said, hopefully you have all experienced our support in some way, or if you haven't, I would recommend that you do. So just some good stats for you. 93% of our customers are satisfied with their SUSE customer support engineer, which is pretty good. 9 out of 10 customers give our engineers a perfect score as well. And they also have a really long tenure, 8+ years, which in this kind of software industry is pretty long, I think you'd all agree. I'll just talk a little bit now about the services packages that we've got. So as I've said, with Liberty, there isn't any real migration effort required as such, but there's still a little bit of fine-tuning to make sure that it's seamless and make sure that you get the proper channels to get your Liberty updates. So that's what we would do in the onboarding package. So essentially just a small package where we do a validation and health check of your infrastructure, check that it's OK for you to use Liberty Linux, and make sure that you hook up to the channels seamlessly. So a consultant would help you do that, probably remotely. Then the Automate package is basically everything I said that's in onboard, but with some additional consulting hours to work on SUSE Manager implementation. SUSE Manager can be a little bit complicated, but our consultants are obviously very equipped to help you with that. And then finally, the Automate Plus is also everything I said in the onboard and automate, so ensuring a seamless transition, making sure you hook up to the right repositories, implementation of SUSE Manager, but just some more hours in case there's any advanced automation or monitoring that you want to do with SUSE Manager. And finally, I just put in bold at the end, premium support. I would definitely recommend premium support if you have a substantial estate of any SUSE product. If you have a substantial Rancher estate, SLES estate, Liberty. Since this is a really tailored offering that we make available to you, essentially you have direct access to a named engineer, and they're always your go-to point of contact for any issues. So we really always recommend this when you have more of a substantial estate with us and a bigger investment. We also have e-learning to assist you with the transition. So at the moment, our technical training teams are working on a couple of different courses to help you with the transition to Liberty, also to assist with the migration to SLES if you did eventually want to decide to migrate to SLES. So if you're already subscribed to the e-learning, you can go in there. Once the Liberty courses become available, they're available to you. And all sorts of other training courses are also available there. So if you buy an e-learning subscription, you're not just limited to consuming Liberty content. You can consume everything. And this is available for all partners, customers. Some partners may already have free e-learning subscriptions provided as part of their partner agreement with us. So definitely worth checking that out if you are a partner. And now I will talk a little bit about the roadmap. So the main date which I want to kind of hammer home in terms of our roadmap is that we have said we will provide support for, sorry, I'll stand out of the way of people's photos. We have said that we will provide support for Liberty until June 2028. So we think this is pretty good. We're giving you an additional 4 years of support for CentOS when it's technically going end of life in a couple of weeks. So this gives you an additional 4 years to work out what you want to do, to plan your next move, whether that's move to something else entirely, move to SLES. So that's the main date I wanted to hammer home. In terms of Liberty 6, as in RHEL 6, this is something that we can support, but it's under something that we call extreme support from June 2024. And it's really kind of on request only. But obviously, we would prefer for you not to stay on such an old version for so long. So we obviously tend to encourage people to upgrade where they can. RHEL 10 support will be considered once RHEL 10 is released. So we will consider whether we add that to our support offering for Liberty Linux. We will also continue to work jointly with our partners on the OpenELA. I will talk a little bit more about the OpenELA, but again, you've heard about it in the keynote. So essentially, it's an organization where we're partnering with Oracle and CIQ to sort of preserve RHEL source code. We're also planning to expand our presence of SUSE Liberty Linux in hyperscalers, but actually an announcement about that came just yesterday, I think. So the slide is maybe a day out of date. But yeah, we've now added the new CentOS promotion to AWS Marketplace, and maybe more options in that respect coming. And at the moment, as I said, Liberty support is only for CentOS and RHEL. But perhaps, based on customer demand and interest, in the future we may consider adding other operating systems to that. But no commitments there. So just to speak a little bit about the OpenELA, we're really committed to this, and as I said, this is part of our roadmap. We will continue to work in this organization with Oracle and CIQ, which is the company behind Rocky Linux. So kind of funny, as I said, that Rocky are sort of our competition. They're in our alternatives to Liberty Linux, but we actually also partner really closely with them in the OpenELA. But this happens a lot in open source. You kind of compete sometimes and partner very closely other times. So in this organization, we have essentially forked off and branched off an entire copy of RHEL, and we're committing to preserving and maintaining that source code. So we decided to create this organization after the announcement from Red Hat in June last year, where they announced that there's changes and restrictions now to their source code availability. So essentially, only paying customers now can get access to RHEL source code. And we thought that this was a bad thing, and maybe not so in spirit of open source as we'd like it. So that's why we came together with Oracle and CIQ to make this organization. And yeah, we started with versions 8 and 9 at first. We've now been working our way back to 7. But we think that this is a really important thing and a really important step in making sure that RHEL source code continues to remain available for everyone. So your journey with SUSE Liberty Linux and beyond, you're maybe wondering, okay, Liberty, but then what do I do after? Because it's not really an end goal. So we have the two options. The one I've been talking about is maintain with SUSE Liberty Linux. The other we are calling modernize with SUSE Linux Enterprise. So we will essentially have consultative sessions with you to plan your next move, whether that be to SLES or to something else. And as I said, SUSE Liberty Linux basically buys you more time to think about exactly what you want to do. And you'd actually be surprised, given that the announcement about CentOS end of life was 3-4 years ago now. Actually, so many customers still haven't done anything about this. For some reason, been pretty low on some people's agenda, or they've just realized now, oh, June 30th come up. So yeah, this offering buys you more time. So as I said, there is a choice to modernize and move to SLES, SUSE Linux Enterprise, but we don't mandate this. I want to make that really clear. We want to make sure that you keep your choice. If you want to migrate to something else after your SUSE Liberty Linux contract expires, that's totally fine. Obviously, we would like it if you move to SLES, but we're not going to mandate that. Just wanted to make that really important point. If you do choose to migrate to SLES, though, we will obviously assist you with it. So we have a services team who could help. We can also lean on our very, very broad network of partners to help you do that. So you should be reassured that you're in good hands. As I've mentioned as well, there's also some training that would assist you if you were to migrate to SLES. So the technical training team are building a course on basically, if I'm a RHEL admin today, I wake up tomorrow and I need to be a SLES admin, what do I need to know? So there'll be that kind of content available for you as well. And yeah, just a little spiel on SUSE Linux Enterprise. You should all know what SUSE Linux Enterprise is because you're here. But obviously, it's our flagship distribution. It's our flagship product. It's the #1 Linux SAP. And we think that by choosing this option, by modernizing, looking at the areas where there's kind of low-hanging fruit where you can start to modernize, you can then choose the right technology for the right workload. And so we have this cheesy little ender. Basically, who are we at SUSE? We make Linux, but we manage many. So with SUSE Manager, we can manage multiple different Linuxes. We make Kubernetes, but we manage many. So similarly with Rancher, you can manage any CNCF Kubernetes distro. And we make Zero Trust security the default with our tool NuVector. And we make choice happen with SUSE Liberty Linux. Finally, these are the promotions that DP, other people announced on the stage. So 2 packages. These are both for CentOS 7, and these are both patches only, no access to support team. So basically what CentOS users have been experiencing up until now anyway. So the first package is a minimum requirement or minimum purchase requirement of 100 subscriptions. It's 1 year. This is important because the previous promotional packages we released were for 3 years. We got some pushback from customers saying, we don't want to commit to 3 years, which is completely understandable. So that's why we've made this 1 year package. And it's $25 per unit, which is not very much. And it's $2,500 for a year, therefore, because the minimum purchase requirement is 100. Then with the second package, minimum purchase requirement, 1,000 subscriptions. Again, 12-month commitment. It's licensed the same, so 1 to 2 sockets or 1 to 2 VMs. And $20,000 per year, or $20 a unit. And that's now available on the SUSE shop and the AWS marketplace. We've already had some questions from customers around whether that could be transacted by partners and if there's SKUs for it. Are there SKUs, Michael? OK. Only shop and marketplace. OK. Only shop and marketplace. So please check it out. It's live already. It was live since yesterday. And these are the other promotional packages, which have been live for about 6 months. I would suggest you check these out on the website. Light is what I was talking about, so just updates, no access to support. It's a 3-year contract, and that's really important with all of these promotions here. It's a 3-year contract with upfront payment required. So the numbers are a little bit confusing and deceiving. 67 per unit per year translates to 199 for 3 years. 167 translates to 499 for 3 years. And in the basic, the difference between the light and basic is that you get access to the support team with basic and also access to SUSE Manager. Then finally, the second 2, so professional and enterprise, are more tailored towards RHEL. So the first 2 are CentOS only. These ones are RHEL and CentOS. In professional, you get priority support, so that's 24/7 support. And in enterprise, the same again, but also SUSE Linux Enterprise subscriptions included. So with this package, you could essentially start to plan your migration to SLES if that's what you choose to do. So you'll get as many SLES subscriptions as Liberty Linux subscriptions, which means that throughout the course of your Liberty Linux contract, you can gradually start to move over to SLES with that package. Just checking I haven't missed anything. I think I forgot to say that this support that's here is standard, so business hours. Here, priority 24/7. There we go. Thank you. And I hope that was informative. And now we are going to welcome Weg onto the stage quickly. Just put it on. OK. Yes, so Weg is one of our customers. You probably saw them on stage on the first night here. They won an award, a Customer Choice Award. What was your Customer Choice Award again? The title of it? Choice happens, of course. How could I forget the main slogan of the event? So yes, you are an existing customer, and we just wanted to get you on the stage. And I wanted to ask you, why did you choose SUSE Liberty Linux?
Okay. My name is Eduardo. I'm from Brazil. So sorry about my bad English, but to be honest with you, when we consider to use SUSE Liberty, we are looking for our main focus was in economic perspective. We had the intention to reduce our Linux subscriptions costs, and in the beginning we have this perspective. But we need to remain our systems reliable and stable and well supported. So we find SUSE Libert and decide to have this support from SUSE. And SUSE has a long experience with Linux support and open source, and the transition from other distribution to Libert was very smoothly. So this is
okay. Amazing. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? We're just bang on time. Wow, 25 minutes. So maybe no time for questions. I'll be around here, though, if anyone wants to have a chat. Yeah, thank you very much.